her souls. The great council house around her dimmed, the people crowding the large log and earth structure no more than fading shadows. She stood, and her feet moved of their own will as she walked to the fire. Extending her palm to the blaze, she knelt on the hearthstones. Figures danced in the flames. People writhed and burned, leaping and vanishing. She squinted against the radiant heat, her hand trembling with the pain as she reached out for the fire. Around her, the room had gone silent, people watching in awe. During that terrible year, Black Shell and I lived defeat after defeat. She felt herself falling into the past, screaming as the fire burned and roared. Chapter 1. The urge to hunt lurks deep in the bones. It pulses with each beat of our hearts and jets with our blood. To hunt, be it for food, for sport, or as an act of war, causes body and souls to thrive at the height of existence. We are not the only ones enchanted by the hunt. So too are the invaders. And on that cold and rainy day, I watched them from a vantage point high in a live oak. I am Black Shell, of the chief clan of the Hickory Moiety, an outcast from the Chickasaw Nation. I am Akeahusa, or dead to my relatives. The Kristianos had come to collect wood. They'd chopped it the day before with their yarrow axes. The distinctive sound had carried across the forest and betrayed their location. Kristianos needed a lot of wood, and not only for fires. They were busy fortifying the captured Appalachian city of Anjaika. Their leader, Adelantado, Hernando de Soto, had reason to add to the city's defenses. They'd forced the Appalachian people, to whom it rightly belonged, out into the forests. Predictably, the Appalachian considered such behavior to be intolerable. The monster and his invading army had been under constant harassing attack since, and the Appalachian had fought Kristianos before, having defeated another invader called Navajes, but 11 summers past. Where Kristianos went, they went in force, knowing that every thicket, swamp, and patch of timber harbored Appalachian warriors, all of whom were thinking up creative ways to kill them. The woodcutting party I watched had come in strength and armed for combat. Having run out of daylight the day before, they were back, seeking to collect the remainder of what they'd cut and drag it back to Anjaika. 30 of them, accompanied by 20 slaves and 10 caballos, entered the clearing just north of my high perch. Caballo is their name for the great animals they ride. Larger than an elk, the caballo has rounded hooves, a hornless head, and a long-haired tail. We try to kill them at every opportunity. The slaves were a mixed lot of Timucuans, some from the south, others having been but recently captured in the Usachili lands. The Usachili captives looked the healthiest, having only starved and camped in the open for 3 moons. The others, those enslaved most of the year, looked like walking death. Their flesh wasted by hunger, they were hollow-bellied, their ribs protruding. Their eyes, now deep-set, stared dully out of skin-wrapped skulls. 2 were staggering, and would no doubt be killed before the day was out. Alert for an ambush, the Kristianos inspected their stacked wood, anxious to see if it had been tampered with. Talking in low voices, they stared suspiciously at the surrounding brush, crossbows at the ready, while their slaves began tying up bundles of wood for the caballos to drag away. Several of the soldados, Kristianos who fought on foot, edged toward the brush, hands on sword handles, searching for any sign of ambush. I eased behind the thick bole of the live oak. Having been raised as a forest warrior, I knew how to merge with my high perch to avoid detection. Then the hunt began. The woman appeared on a trail just back from the clearing. She seemed oblivious to the sounds of the working men, and her path would screen her from the majority of the wood party.